It hung in silence above a dead sun, a throne made of starlight and forgotten metal, orbiting a world of ash. No one knew who had built it. No one had ever claimed it. Every empire, every race, every would-be god had tried, and all had failed. The throne of ascendance was more than a relic. It was a test. Across millennia, species after species came before it. Warriors, scholars, empaths, conquerors. The crystalline Valari approached with perfect logic. They believed purity of thought would earn dominion. The throne shattered their projections. The Stormborns of Arathi sent their radiant emissaries. The throne burned them to dust. The called dominion brought slaves to sacrifice, but the throne turned their own bloodlust back upon them, erasing them from existence. It judged not by power or lineage, but by something older, something the galaxy had forgotten. The throne was waiting for a kind of soul, though none could name what that truly meant. And then came humans. They were latecomers to the stars, a primitive species compared to the ancient empires. They bickered, they stumbled, they built clumsy ships and fragile alliances. But where others saw chaos, the universe saw something different. Persistence, curiosity, and the strange, irrational spark called hope. The discovery was almost an accident. Captain Elias Ward, commanding the exploration vessel Endeavor, led a mixed crew of Valari analysts, historians, and human scientists into an uncharted system. They detected faint gravitational ripples near the dead sun, the echo of the throne's heartbeat. It was Mara Vance, the youngest linguist aboard, who deciphered the signal. Not noise, but invitation. When the expedition reached the site, every member felt it, the weight of eons pressing down. The throne shimmered with unreadable inscriptions, as if reality itself bent around it. The Valari protested when Ward stepped forward. "Captain," they warned, "that relic has slain gods. You are not even a century into stars." Ward smiled softly. Maybe it's time the throne met someone who doesn't want to own it. The moment his hand brushed the metal, the chamber came alive. A surge of light roared through the void. The air burned with memory, voices of extinct species crying out, galaxies forming and dying in an instant. The crew collapsed to their knees as the throne spoke. Its voice wasn't sound but thought, older than language. At last. Then, to their shock, the throne did something it had never done before. It bowed. To a human, every sensor recorded one word vibrating across space and time. Worthy. News of the event shattered the galaxy. For 10 million years, the throne had tested every civilization. It had rejected empires of light, machines that had erased death, and species that could rewrite atoms with thought. And now it had chosen humanity, a race of flesh and mistakes. The Galactic Concord summoned Elias Ward and his team to the Core Council on Salus Prime. Delegates from hundreds of species filled the chamber, some in awe, others in fury. The Call Imperatrix accused humanity of trickery. The Valari declared it paradox. The Thran priests called it blasphemy. But the recordings were undeniable. When Ward had touched the throne, it had not destroyed him. It had recognized him. Ward stood before them, calm but unyielding. "I didn't take the throne," he said. "It chose to speak. Maybe it's not asking for a ruler. Maybe it's asking to be understood." The council erupted. Yet, secretly, many scientists began to test the throne's energy field. They discovered something impossible. It responded to emotion. Not logic, not strength, but intent. When Mara Vance touched it, it whispered her name. When a child refugee was allowed near, the throne glowed brighter than it ever had. The ancient test had not been about dominance. It had been about empathy. The architects, the creators of the throne, had designed it to find a species capable of caring for creation, not controlling it. Every civilization before humanity had failed because they had sought power, not purpose. Still, not all could accept the truth. The called dominion began amassing fleets, calling for purification of divine error. The Valari fractured, half demanding study, half swearing vengeance. And in the deep void, hidden sensors flickered to life. Something older than all of them was watching. The architects, the original builders, had awakened. They had once abandoned the galaxy, declaring all life unworthy. But when their throne recognized humanity, their silence broke. They whispered across the void. The experiment continues. The throne must be reclaimed. The true trial had just begun. The first attack came without warning. The Called Dominion launched its fleets toward human space, declaring humanity an abomination that had corrupted the sacred test. The skies over Earth burned. But this time, humanity was not afraid. The throne had not just chosen them, it had taught them. Ward's mind carried echoes of alien knowledge. The physics of living energy, the art of bending mass without machines, the forgotten sciences of the architects themselves. Humanity shared these fragments freely. No secrets, no hoarding, no empires. And that act of generosity became their greatest weapon. Allies rallied. Valari scientists abandoned their rulers to aid humans. The Thren monks, inspired by humanity's humility, opened ancient archives long sealed. Together, they built the Concord Fleet, a coalition unlike anything the galaxy had seen. When the Call invaded the Vega system, humanity met them head-on. Human pilots wove through enemy fire with impossible precision, guided by intuition, enhanced by throne knowledge. At the Battle of Vega, Ward himself transmitted a message to every species. You think the throne chose us to lead. It didn't. It chose us to remind you that none of us are beyond redemption. That message spread faster than any weapon. The Call fleet hesitated. Some surrendered. Others joined. But the real enemy was still coming. From the black edges of the galaxy, the architects returned, vast, mechanical minds woven from stars themselves. Their voices boomed across the void. You are chaos incarnate. The throne's test was meant for perfection, not imperfection given flesh. Ward faced their projections. Then maybe perfection was a mistake, he said. Maybe creation needs the courage to fail and to try again. The war that followed was cosmic. Stars were turned into weapons, and reality itself trembled. Yet humanity endured, not because they were stronger, but because they fought for each other. When Ward's ship was destroyed, command fell to Mara Vance. And it was she who realized the truth. The throne's power was not in the metal seat, but in the hearts it had awakened. They didn't need the throne to be chosen. They already were. The final battle took place above the dead sun, where the throne was born. The architects unleashed annihilation beams that could erase timelines. The Concord fleet, human, Valari, Thren, and Call-like, held the line. Ward, gravely wounded, reached the throne once more. The artifact pulsed weakly as if fading. The architects demanded he surrender it, to let them reset the test. Ward smiled faintly. You've tested for perfection for 10 million years, he said, and all you found was silence. Maybe it's time the imperfect had a turn. He placed his hand on the throne one final time. The universe shuddered. Light erupted across the void, spreading through every ship, every living being. In that moment, every mind saw the same vision, the memory of creation, the loneliness of the architects, the long search for meaning, and then forgiveness. The throne shattered. The energy released did not destroy, but renewed. The architects' great forms dissolved into the starlight they once shaped, merging with the life they had judged. The war ended not in conquest, but understanding. When the light faded, only silence remained. Humanity stood among the ruins, not as rulers, but as stewards of something new. The Galactic Accord was reborn. Every species, every world, every voice, equal. Mara Vance became the first speaker of the new age. Her words echoed through the stars. The throne tested us to see if we could rule. But maybe it was never about ruling at all. Maybe it wanted to know if we could care. In the ages that followed, the galaxy healed. The throne became legend, a story told to remind children across 1,000 worlds that even the smallest hand could change the fate of stars. And somewhere in the quiet between galaxies, a faint whisper lingered, the last remnant of the ancient machine.